Hey guys, it's me David and welcome back to Building Crait Week 18. Alright guys, so this segment, it's going to be a lot different than any previous segment in the entire Crait series, and I think that's a really important thing. I'm going to show you guys one of the best tools you could ever use when you're making LEGO dioramas or just any large-scale LEGO mock. This is literally a key episode if you're interested in how to do things, especially if you don't have the money to have and order a billion amount of LEGO parts. This is literally one of the best things you could ever do, and that's using LDD, LEGO Digital Designer. And I hope I don't turn off you guys. I hope you're not clicking off the videos just yet, because I'm telling you, I'm going to show you some things. If you know what LDD is and you have an understanding like, oh, it's all digital in the computer, what's the point of that? I'm telling you, it's one of the best tools that you can use and save yourself a lot of money. I think it's a really important thing that a lot of you take the time, watch this video. It's a long video, but I promise you, you're going to learn some things that you had no idea how to do them. One of the coolest things you guys are going to learn in this segment is how to render LDD designs. What I mean by render is just like computer graphics. You know, if you've ever seen a 3D animation on YouTube, then that's being rendered, and you have this realistic looking lighting, and it makes it look nice and pretty and all of that. So I'll put a picture right here or here, wherever. That's what a render looks like. What you're seeing right now is a rendered LEGO model, and as you can see, it looks really good. I'm going to show you how to do it and what program to use. You can do it on both Mac and PC, so it doesn't really matter. Just as long as you have a computer, then you can do this. So it's an important segment, guys. Next week we'll be going back to building. Next week is building the ATM6. Hopefully, if all those parts come in, I really think they should. But next week will be that. I'm so excited. But this segment is learning LDD, and I'm not just going to show you how the program works. We're actually going to do some things for Crait. It's not just going to be okay, this is how you use the programs. We're actually going to look at how to, the turret that I'm planning on building, I'm actually using a fan design that was submitted back to me. So once again, I'll remind everybody that there has been an email down in the description that you can submit your LDD design. You just build whatever you want, and the LDD, save the file, and then you email it to me, and I take a look at it. If it's a good idea, I'll reply to it. But I have gotten at least 35, maybe 50 LDD designs since I started Crait. Thank you to everybody who has submitted one. I've looked at every single one. I'm sorry if I haven't replied to you. Doesn't mean I didn't like it. It just means it didn't work for what I'm thinking for Crait. So I appreciate anybody who submitted LDD designs. All right, I'm not going to talk any longer. It's a long segment, but I promise you, you will learn something in this segment. No doubt that you probably don't know everything when it comes to digitally making LEGO, and it is such a useful tool. So without ado, guys, let's head into it right now. Okay, everyone, so starting this week's Crait episode off. Last week at the end of the video, I said that we were going to be focusing on the trenches, and unfortunately, I don't think we're going to... I hate saying that. I feel like this is a reoccurring thing where I have to say, unfortunately, we can't get to that, but that is the case. So as you can see right here, I do have a decent amount of the 1x3, or I guess they're 2x3 wedge plates. I do have, I'd say this is about 300. It's probably enough to finish this area right here for the trench. However, I went on and I've been searching to get more of these, and unfortunately you can't get that many. You can't get over 1,000 of these, at least from one particular seller. So it's not that easy to get any more of these. So what I have here is what I'm going to be able to get probably for the next 2 to 3 weeks, if not longer. So because of that, I'm also going to, I went ahead and already ordered a bunch. For some reason, these 2x3 plates are harder to get than the and more expensive than the 2x4 plates, this one. So you can, I mean, you know the difference. But basically, I've ordered a whole bunch of these, and what I'm going to do for the trenches, I'm actually going to do a combination of these and these together. So that should, in theory, be able to finish out this trench over here. When we get to the upper trench on the next, next section in a couple months, not too many months, I hope, but in a month or two, when we get to the next section, that'll also probably be how it goes. Is it'll be a combination between these and these. I can't solely use the 2x3 plates like I have been doing on the current trench right here. So that's an unfortunate turn of events. Sadly, I'm sad about it. It's not easy to get these. Moving over here, I started taking the turret that we get in the defensive crate set. I took this and I was like, all right, this looks pretty decent, but it's obviously could be better. And so I was kind of like working, you know, starting to like do a couple different things with it, and I wasn't too big of a fan of what I had so far, so I kind of tore that apart. So then I went on, I was like, you know what, I haven't checked the fan emails in a while, so I went to my email, which, by the way, you can email me down below, it's always in the description. I've always been asking you guys, and I'll continue to ask, that if you have an idea for something, make it an LDD, and I'll take a look at it. And just like Kashyyyk and other mocks before, there was a lot of LDD designs that I had not seen yet. So one particular design was a turret design. There's actually a couple turret designs, but there was one by one person, I forget his name, but I will say it later in the video. But there was one particular turret that I was like, yeah, I liked how he did this. He basically took this design right here and he enhanced it quite a bit. He literally took this exact design and just kind of made it bigger. And I was like, I kind of like that. So I emailed and I was like, hey, you know, if you want to make it more accurate, this is, you know, what you maybe might want to do. And he's like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. So he actually redesigned it again and sent that over to me. And so that's what we're going to look at, actually. We're going to go on the computer and we're going to take a look at his design. And I actually went ahead and modified his design after he modified it. So that's the first thing we're actually going to do on LDD. This is going to be an LDD-centric episode, and don't let that be a deterrent, because this is going to be very important for a lot of you, because it is an important lesson that LDD can be literally a savior to certain things, especially when you're trying to save money and you want to order what you only need. LDD can be that wonderful tool where you can build unlimited amounts and not have to spend any money. It's a completely free program. So last week, you know, when we finished the wall, obviously it looks fantastic. I still love the way the wall looks. Anyhow, I said that we were going to need to build basically big pillars to hold the wall. And so in the last week, I didn't think we were going to be doing it this week, but I actually started working on how I'm going to do it. So first off, I actually think, originally I said that there was going to be a large beam coming over holding the weight of the wall. I don't think that's actually necessary now. I really don't. Because currently, so the reason why there's a hammer right here is if I ever so slightly, like just take this and pull it back, the entire thing will come back. Like a lot of the weight is like wanting to go this way. So it's barely, and I mean barely holding on right here. So there's really this particular thing, I don't know if you can see it, but it's actually really doing nothing. This right here, as you can see, it moves. So it's already been standing up by itself for literally the last week, so obviously it can do it by itself. So really, there is no need for a center beam now, because it's been proven that you could just have something to hold here and here, and the wall itself, because of all the technical structure that we built within it, can hold its own weight. So that's fantastic. That means we don't need to build that giant beam that I've been talking about. Instead, what we need to do is to build pillars right here and right here, and then we also need to build columns to go up here to make sure, like I said, if I just pull it back or push it on the front, this will go flying this way and break into a billion pieces. I'll probably cry for 30 minutes, and we don't want that to happen. So what we want to have is pillars connecting into these technic areas to basically keep it from falling back. So we want the weight to be held here, and we want something to hold it so it doesn't fall forward nor backwards. So that's the challenge that we're going to be doing. And what I'm going to do is, instead of actually building something right here to show you guys, because I don't have the parts, and instead of making you guys wait another week or 2 weeks or however long it takes, I'm using LDD to figure out and solve this problem that is getting the wall and, you know, making the correct columns that we need for, it would be this area. So this, and where all of this is right here, basically this part underneath. So you're connecting this and all of this, and then you want something to hold that. So that's the challenge, and we're going to use LEGO LDD to solve it. And by the way, if you've gone this far in the segment, LDD means LEGO Digital Designer, and I'll explain what that software is in a minute if you don't know what it is. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be looking at turrets, and we're going to be solving how to get this wall to basically free hang by itself. And like I said, literally I could take this out right now. I'm not going to, just in case this wall decides to fall back, but this column is not necessary. So that is fantastic news, guys. The fact that this entire wall, I didn't even realize it until earlier this week, that literally this entire wall has been already free hanging just on that and that right there. That's actually a very good thing. I'm happy. First off, I'm a little happy knowing that, hey, my building paid off. All that technical work, it all paid off because it can actually hold all of that weight. Even with all that weight going down in that bottom, it's able to hold it somehow. So that's fantastic news. I'm very happy about that. So without ado, let's go ahead and head into the computer, and I want to show you guys how freaking useful LGD is. Like, this is something you really should watch. I know it probably doesn't sound as interesting, but I guarantee you I'm going to show you some really cool things about LGD, and I'm going to show you how to render things. A lot of awesome tricks you're going to learn in this segment if you don't know how to use LGD. For those of you who do, I still think this would be a cool episode because I have some cool things to show. So without ado, we're going to actually head in the computer for most of the video. So let's go do that right now, guys. Okay, guys, so jumping into the computer, I'm going to bring LDD over here. All right, so this is the fan design that was submitted by Dalton Nougat. I think that's how you say his name. So I appreciate Dalton for sending this to me. So what he did basically is he took that, as I was just showing, he took the LEGO design, the turret from Defense on Crait, and he basically enhanced it quite a bit. So he made it bigger, he made it longer, and he made it taller. So basically he enhanced it in every direction possible. All right, so if we look at this, he also kind of exploded it, I guess you could say, meaning he took the sections apart so you can kind of see how it's made, see how he kind of did that. So what I want to show though, let me go and open this. So if we bring this in right here, this is the actual turret, obviously, from The Last Jedi. And if we do it kind of side by side, here, let me just do that. You can see that it's pretty accurate, but he's definitely missing this area right here. It kind of cuts off almost, but that's what this part right here. Let me go ahead and just click that. There we go. This part right here is what this is. This right here. That is what this is supposed to be acting as. So if we pull out a little bit, going back to the design. So there was some things I liked about this design. Obviously, it has a very nice aesthetic look. Like it looks really good. It matches the Crait turrets. The Crait ski speeders, and it kind of matches with the design that I would want. It has that look to it. It's not super smooth. It has the grittiness that this original turret has that I really like. That's why I like this design the most out of other designs that were submitted to me. So I took this design, and let me go and open the version I did. So I took this, and this is what I made out of his design. So I put it together, and then the main thing that I reworked was kind of the bottom part right here. So this particular area, he didn't have the windows that you see right here. You can't get these windows perfect. It's kind of hard to do in a little amount of space. You could do it with other Lego parts if the model was bigger, but with the little space, you kind of have to do these like half windows instead of like how it actually is with these kind of parallelograms or whatever they're called. But yeah, so that's what I did. So I'm sure the biggest thing that a lot of you will immediately say is two things. is we come out of the picture. A lot of you will say, well, you still don't have this area right here. And on top of that, a lot of you will say that this and this are almost the same size. So why is this area right here so much bigger than this area? And the answer is, I think it actually just legitimately looks better. And from the Lego point of view, I like the way it looks with the bottom part more open. That's how the Lego set is actually. It has this bottom part open like this more than the top. It's not completely equal size. So I like that. However, you know, if I decide to actually build this model, and if I decide to actually build it like fully in real, you know, exactly the way it looks right now, then I could definitely modify it to basically bring down this whole bottom section, this area where this brick is. I could just take all of that and take all of that off, and then it would be the same size. As for the back here, it's not, obviously it's not accurate right now. It's not as accurate as it could be. It really isn't. But I think that's okay. You know, I think there is some play with Lego. You could definitely get it so it's perfect. But I kind of like what Dalton did with the design. I think it looks better the way he did. I will probably close this off right here. He left this open. I'm probably going to close that off. But there's some modifications I will make if I decide to make this. But at the moment, this is a pretty good idea with what I'm thinking how the turrets should look. I like the size. I like the way it looks mostly. That is the biggest thing, is the way this model looks. I think it looks great. All right, so before I continue, I really just want to quickly show you guys how LDD works, why this software is so great. So I'll go ahead and just full screen this. Some quick tips that I actually recently found out about LDD. First off, LEGO Digital Designer has been around for, gosh, it's almost, I think it's probably more than 10 years old. It's been around for a while, and it's improved quite a bit over the years. It's a free software you can download off lego.com. All you have to do is Google LDD. And it's probably the first thing comes up. It's available for Mac and Windows, so you do have to have a laptop or a desktop computer to run it. You can't run it on a smartphone or a tablet or anything like that. You do need a computer. I think that's a little obvious, but a lot of people nowadays use their phones more than they use computers. But anyhow, so how I'm actually moving this is something I get some tricks I didn't even know about LDD. So first off, the way you zoom in is you just use the rocker on your mouse to zoom in and out. And then some other things, instead of using these arrows on the side of the software, hit the control key on your keyboard, and then just click on the bottom or really anywhere, and you can move the model how I've been. I can just move it however I want, like that. That is way faster, way easier than using the arrows. I'm sure a lot of you who are experienced LDD designers know this, and you're just like probably rolling your eyes at this point. Another thing that I have always been confused at since I've used LDD is it annoys me that when I start building more and more outwards, like say I have a piece all the way over here, and when I zoom in, obviously that piece is gone. How do I get to build over here and and all that? So if you just select it like this, if you just hover your mouse over and then you hit that control button just once, you click it, then the software automatically makes that piece the middle piece. That's where it's going to be centered around. That's where the axis is around, is that piece. And then if you want to go back over to the model, you just click any piece. So let's say this brick, you hold down control, click, boom, you're back over, and you can mess around on this model. So those two tricks, holding control and moving the thing around, and clicking control once and clicking where the brick is to rearrange where the camera and axis are. Those two things are not well known. At least I don't think they're well known. I'm sure a lot of experienced LDD designers know this, but for anybody who's wanting to get into the software, those two things are extremely helpful. I can't tell you enough. So what a lot of people don't know about LDD is a lot of people have seen renders on the internet of LDD models, and a lot of people don't know how to do that. And I'm going to show you guys right now. So what I mean by renders is if we minimize this and we get rid of this, this is a render. So let me bring this in. Boom. Doesn't that look awesome? It looks realistic, right? So how did I do this? How did I get a render of an LDD design. So I'm going to quickly show that right now, because I'm sure a lot of you want to build an LDD and then you want to see what that might look like more realistically. Then that's what the rendering's for. So I'm sure a lot of you maybe didn't like the design right away, but now that you've seen the render design, I think it looks even better, a lot better actually. What's great about the rendering is you can see, you know, the grooves. You can kind of see how light directly hits it versus, you know, if we bring back LDD, it just looks like crap. That's what it really honestly looks like. So it's a big deal to render things. I think this is a wonderful thing to do. You can do humongous models, like over 5,000 parts, and render it, and it's completely possible. So how is it possible? So there is a program, and I'm going to bring it in here right now. This is called Studio. I think it's Studio, but I call it Studio. So here's what it's called right here up at the top corner. It's called stud.io. It's a pretty new software, actually. It came out within the last, I think, year or two, I believe. And so the software is free. Again, this is all free software. It's great. So this was designed by Bricklink, actually. The software is Bricklink software. And what's awesome about this software is not only can you import your LDD model and render it, but you can also log into Bricklink. And I'll go ahead and make this full screen so it's bigger for you guys. Oh, there we go. So what's awesome is you can log into Bricklink, and from here you can order the parts directly from Bricklink right off this software. So there's no importing on the website, and you can, you know, let's say you make this model right here. It's the software is definitely still beta software. It's not the nicest, and I have a pretty powerful laptop, so it struggles a little bit. But anyhow, yeah, so you can order the parts right within the software. It has so many advantages. I don't want to talk all day about the software, but yeah, it's great software. You can actually build in it too. You have like every single Lego piece ever made in it, versus LDD only has certain parts, most of the parts, but not every single one. There is literally every single part. This software is a little more tricky to build in. It's still beta software, so they're still working out some kinks and still making it smoother. So I choose to build an LDD and then import it into Studio. So let me, actually we already have it. So here is, I actually have 2 turrets, because I wanted to see how much 2 of them would cost, because I need 2 of them. But anyhow, I'm going to show you guys how to render it. So to open your LDD design, so once you're done with LDD, by the way, just bringing it back, make sure you save like every 10 minutes in LDD. It is older software. It does not, and I mean does not auto save. That is such a big thing. LDD does not auto save. So you need to save it manually. You can just do, where is it? There it is. You can just do Command S, or you can just come over to File, Save, and I'm running Mac, but it's pretty much the same in PC, you know, how to save and all of that. So yeah, make sure you save. All right, I have had where my computer crashes or the software crashes, and I'm like, great, I just lost 3 hours of work. Fantastic. That's the worst thing ever. Constantly save your model designs. Anyhow, once you have the save file, you would just go into Open right here, and then you would click Import Model, and you would find the LDD design, and that's it. And then it builds it in here. It doesn't take more than like 5 seconds, and you're done. You got your model in Studio. It's super easy. It's wonderful. It's great. Now, just like just like LDD, you just hit Control and click anywhere to move and manipulate your design, and then you would select it and move it wherever you want. And the important thing is about that is, you know, all right, let's say I want to, because the reason why I say you need to move it is because that's important for when you're rendering. So let's say, all right, that's a good angle right there. That looks great. Cool. So what we're going to do now is this beautiful little button right here, and I love rendering. I can't express how wonderful it is. You click the little picture camera button called Render. Click that, and then you get this screen right here. And what you can do now is you can place where you want the design to be with. So what you're seeing right here, this checkered box, is what the render is going to look like. So the checkered box means it's transparent. I particularly like transparent because then you can put it on different backgrounds and stuff like that. You can change that in the settings. See the little transparent button right here, and then you could make the background whatever color, but we're going to cancel, and we're going to hit transparent. So we have the model here, and then if we scroll in with our zoom, with our little scroller on the mouse, you can zoom in and out with how big you want, reposition it. Let's say, okay, that right there, that's what we want to render. Let's say that, okay? So then we have the light position. This is important. So if we click this, you can see there's little light bulbs here and here, and they change as you go down. So what this is saying, this is where the light's going to be. So I particularly either like right front with sublight or left front with sublight. These are my favorites. Or you can just have one harsh light or wherever. Let's say, all right, let's say we want it from the left. It's going to be right here, and it's going to be a harsh light right on the front. So it's probably almost, it's imitating like a sunrise. So that's what the left position, having the light here. Image size, this is important. Again, I'm trying to go this as fast as possible. I don't want to spend forever on the software, but I want to make sure that everybody understands it. Image size is important too. The bigger the image, the longer it's going to take to render. So I would not do anything above 1600 by 1200 pixels. Anything above that is going to take anywhere between 10 minutes, and if you try to do this biggest one right here, this is a 4K render. That'll probably take an hour, if not more. This all depends on your computer. For my computer, it would take an hour. For a more slower laptop, like if you have like a $500 like PC laptop, then it'll probably take like 6 hours because it has to use the CPU, blah blah blah. All right, but bigger the image, the longer it's going to take. So this is a good average, and it's a good quality too. The 1280 by 960 is my go-to for quick renders, and if I want to do more high quality stuff, then I have the option. You have the orientation here, and then you always want it to be a PNG. Do not select JPEG, or I mean you could do JPEG, but you want PNG because we're doing a transparent background. And if you do any other file thing other than PNG or GIF, but that is not an option, then the background will not be transparent. So it's important that you select PNG. You can put it wherever you want, so that doesn't really matter. And once you're done, you just click render. So what this happens is it's not just so as you can see here, it opens another window. For Mac, you'll see this. It opens a terminal to basically use the internal CPU of the computer to render it out. So it's really kind of weird. It's doing like a lot of coding right in front of you. Again, it's beta software, so that's why it's doing it this way, and it's not some nice window that just shows like a menu bar like rendering out. But as you can see right here, I know it's a little small for you guys, but it says rendering 900,000 out of 1.2 million pixels, and it's at 80%. It's not taking that long. It's probably gonna take 30 seconds to render it. So it's done. That's great. And there's our render. It pops right up for Mac. It opens. I don't know how it works for PC, but that's our render. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? And you can see the more we zoom in, you can see it gets pixelated. Again, if you want less pixelated images, then you would do a higher render, but then don't forget, higher the render, longer it takes. So keep that in mind. So that's why I use Studio, is you can see how amazing the realistic renders look on your LDD models. A lot of people don't know that. So I highly recommend you use this program to render your LDD models once you're done. So build whatever you want. You can build anything in LDD. So this is 538 bricks. And then you can render it out and see what it looks like more realistically, and you can go back and change it and just keep doing it over and over until you have the model you like, and then order the bricks off Bricklink, and boom, you've made something just completely out of the internet and on the computer and using the internet to order the parts, and you didn't have to spend any extra money for any extra parts you may or may not have used. That's the amazing advantage of using LEGO Digital Designer and using Studio, however you say it. Using those two programs combined is such an amazing thing. All right, so that's the turret, guys. This is the design I'm hoping to go with I have not ordered the parts yet, but I will probably soon. Like I said, this is probably what I'm going to use. I'm going to use Dalton's original design that I've modified, and might modify it even more once I build it. Like I said, we might take this second layer because I'm sure I'll hear a lot of you guys say, no, it needs to be the same size, so I might end up doing that. And then I can always edit the back if I really want it to be a little more curvy like it is in the final image here. So we'll see, but that's what I'm aiming right now. This is what I'm thinking the turret will look like. I think it'll work well with the trenches that we've made, with the designs that we've already done. It looks pretty accurate to this. I know this line right here doesn't go all the way down, but obviously I really can't do that. And I know it doesn't have the orange on the back here. There are some things that aren't perfect, but I think I kind of like that. I don't want it to be 100%. I mean, obviously you want it to be accurate, but at the same time, I think you can have this like leeway between the design. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to the back of the wall that I was talking about. I'm gonna show that. So let's go ahead and go to that. All right, guys, so on to what I was talking about earlier in the video, how we're gonna support the wall. So how, and you know, what is gonna replace this, and how are we going to you know, keep the wall from falling back or forward. So what I went ahead and did is I took a picture on my iPhone and I brought that in the computer, and I basically recreated this area. Let me zoom in more. So I recreated this area particularly, and I also went ahead and remember I had started building something right here because I originally thought the wall was going to be sliding up and down. That obviously is not going to happen, but I went ahead and built this area too, and this is what I came up with. So if we make this bigger, this is what I've done. So first you'll see that this right here is part of the wall. That's where that Technic area kind of starts. It's not perfectly, you know, the height right here is not perfect from where the actual wall starts, but that really doesn't matter. The important thing is that this area right here is built the way it is that we see. The other thing is, we'll come over here. This is where I plan on sitting the wall. So if we bring that picture back, so this right here, I'm gonna zoom in more. This area particularly is where this right here will sit, and then this will be actually, this right here will come up and be built bigger, and will be, you know, a pretty good size. But basically the wall will sit down right here. This area right here is where the wall will sit, and that's where that one long bar. That's where that one long bar. Oh my gosh, that's where that one long bar will sit as well. So that's what you're seeing here. So this is how it's going to sit. And then on top of this, this will go back a little far, and this will obviously, all of this right here will be built. Though this won't be empty as it is right now. But on top of it will sit this right here. That's what this is. So let me actually get that. All right, so here's what I've done. Is basically I've created these like long support posts, I guess you could call them, that connect into the Technic parts that we made last week. And with that, so here's something that a lot of you might not think of, right? So these will actually be placed into the wall like you see them right here. They'll actually look like this. But don't forget that the way I'm building Crait is that it has to be taken apart, right? It has to be able to be moved, and therefore the wall has to be able to be taken off when I want to move the mock. So the wall can't be permanently, you set it in and then you build everything into it, and that's that. That's the way it cannot work. It needs to be able to sit down. So that's what I've built over here, is it can sit down, and then what you do is once it sits, it'll line up perfectly with what I've created here. This right here is what I've created, and these red Technic pins they'll obviously be pushed back, but basically you would line it up and then you push these in, and boom, you have your column back here that's connected the wall, and then you have the weight distribution taking all of that weight down on this. And then this is what's keeping this column, which will be a little bit bigger and taller than what you're seeing right now, will be sitting over. It'll be sitting over here, over on this brick right here. It'll be sitting here. It'll be about, you know, maybe probably, yeah, probably be about this height. So it'll be a lot taller than what you're seeing right now. And it'll all be one giant thing, and this will be, basically keep the wall from going backwards or forwards. And I think 2 levels, just these 2 levels is enough. I don't think we could add like another one of these gray, you know, giant, you know, I guess you could call them beams. We could do another one, but I don't think it's necessary. I think 2 is enough. I don't think we need any more than that. So this is my design. This is what I completely created this myself. I did this in about like 3 hours of work, and I think it looks great. I think this is exactly what I want it to be. This column is like super sturdy. I built it pretty well. It'll be built even better in person. But what's nice is I know, okay, I need to order all of these Technic parts because I don't have most of this stuff or any of this either. So that's what I love about LDD is I can figure out what I need now. What I need to actually order and not just be like, okay, let's order that random part and that random part. Now I know exactly what I need, and also how to build over here, especially what I need to do to get this built and all of that. So I am so thrilled with how this looks. I hope you guys can get an understanding from this. I'm not going to go forever on this. I also went ahead and rendered this design out in Studio or Studio, however you want to call it. And that's what the render, I'll make this full screen. That's what the render looks like. So that's awesome. I like the way it looks. I think this is going to be great. Again, ignore the actual bricks that I used to build it. That doesn't really matter. It's just the design. Also, as you can see, Studio, it makes mistakes. Like if I zoom in right here, you can see that it didn't render these tiles for some reason, and over here as well, and over here. I don't know why. Again, it's beta software, but regardless, it still rendered it, and also it put extra holes in these Technic bricks. So it's not perfect software, but it certainly is much better than just looking at the you know, LEGO Digital Designer really blah gray looking graphics within the program. So yeah, so this is my problem solving. So basically the way it'll work is the wall will sit down right here, and then you just connect the bar by pushing in the pins, and that's how it'll work. And when I want to take the wall off, I just undo the pins and I lift the wall off, and voila, works. So it's a pretty simple way of doing it, but at the same time, it still involved quite a bit of engineering to figure out, all right, this is how it'll work. Because originally I just had this column connected to these beams that I created, and I was like, wait a second, that can't work because we're having to sit the wall down. So does that mean the column would have to be built connected to the wall? It didn't make much sense. So I had to figure out, okay, so it needs to be able to connect into itself once it sits down. So a bit of engineering went into it, but it worked pretty well. So guys, that's all I wanted to show for this. We'll go ahead and end out the video. Let's go. All right, guys, really long segment. I apologize. I didn't realize it was going to be this long, but I'm going to go ahead and make this nice and short and sweet in the ending. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this. I really hope you learned something. Rendering the models, I'm sure a lot of people didn't know how to do that. Some little commands in LDD, if you don't even know how to use the software, excuse me, then I hope you learned something from LDD, from me teaching you that. And if you don't know how to use, if you've never used LDD, then I would definitely look up a tutorial. There's plenty on YouTube. I would look up a tutorial on how to use all the other tools in LDD. I couldn't dive all of that in. That would be an hour-long video if I did that, and I don't want to bore you guys that much. Again, I can't say it's 100% confirmed because I'm still waiting on more parts, but next week I really hope to get that ATM6, the first one, built. Again, it's done by a fan design by I don't think it's not Michael, it's Michael, I think is how you say his name. He's a really nice guy. He's lended me his design for his ATM6 to build for Crait, and I think all of you are going to absolutely love it. I cannot wait to build it in person. I just hope that all the parts come in on time. Right now, there's 5 Bricklink parts. I have 3, so there's just two more left. So I'm excited, guys. that's going to be it. So I'll see you guys next week. I hope you have a great and wonderful day. Bye-bye.